You check your phone. 11:11. Again. You glance at the clock tomorrow. 3:33. The day after, 9.99 on a receipt total. What if I told you that's not a coincidence? And what if I told you you're not supposed to be seeing them? There's a phenomenon happening right now. Millions of people, maybe you're one of them, keep seeing the same numbers over and over again. 1111, 222, 444. They show up on clocks, license plates, receipts, timestamps, everywhere. Some call it synchronicity. Others say it's angels trying to contact you. But there's a third explanation, one that sits somewhere between psychology and something we can't quite name yet. And it has to do with something called timeline echoes. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah started noticing 1111 about 2 years ago. At first, it was just her phone. She'd pick it up randomly throughout the day, and there it was, 1111, morning and night. Then it spread. Her car's odometer rolled over to 111.1 miles right as she parked at work. A YouTube video she clicked on, 11 minutes, 11 seconds long. Her coffee order total, $11.11. She laughed it off at first. Confirmation bias, right? Your brain notices patterns because it's wired to find them. That's what the rational part of her said. But then she started noticing something else. Every time she saw 1111, something shifted. Not in the room, not physically, but in her. Like a faint memory of a conversation she never had. A déjà vu that lasted just a heartbeat longer than it should. The feeling that she just made a choice but couldn't remember making it. She wasn't alone. Across the internet, forums are filled with people describing the exact same thing. Not just seeing the numbers, but feeling them. Thousands of posts, millions of views, all asking the same question. Why does 1111 feel like a warning? Here's where it gets strange. Let's start with what we know. Psychologists call this the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon, or frequency illusion. Once you notice something once, your brain starts seeing it everywhere. It's not magic, it's just your reticular activating system doing its job, filtering the noise and highlighting what you've told it matters. Simple, right? Except that doesn't explain the feeling. See, when most people experience confirmation bias, they just notice the pattern. They don't feel it, they don't get chills, they don't stop mid-step because something about 3:33 on the microwave made their stomach drop. So what's really happening? There's a theory. It's not mainstream, you won't find it in psychology textbooks, but it's growing, quietly, in the corners of quantum physics and consciousness research. It's called the timeline echo theory. Here's the idea. Every choice you make splits reality, not metaphorically, literally. You choose coffee over tea, and somewhere another version of you chose tea. You turn left, another you turns right. Infinite branches, infinite yous. Most of the time, these timelines never interact. They're parallel, separate. But sometimes they get close. Think of it like two guitar strings vibrating next to each other. When they're tuned to the same frequency, they resonate. One string hums, and the other starts humming too, even though nothing touched it. Now imagine your consciousness is that string. When two of your timelines get close enough, when two versions of your life nearly overlap, your awareness picks up the vibration. Not as a thought, as a feeling, a shiver of recognition, a sense that something just happened but didn't. And when that happens, your brain scrambles to make sense of it. It doesn't have language for you just brushed against another version of yourself, so instead, it drops a marker, a timestamp. 1111, 3:33, a repeating number. It's not the universe trying to tell you something, it's your consciousness logging the moment two timelines touched. I know what you're thinking. That sounds insane. But here's the thing that keeps me up at night. In 2019, a study was published, quietly, without much fanfare, by a team of quantum researchers at Stanford. They were studying something called quantum coherence in biological systems, specifically how particles in the human brain might exist in multiple states at once before collapsing into a single reality. What they found was unsettling. Under certain conditions, stress, sleep deprivation, moments of intense focus, the brain's quantum coherence lasted longer than it should. Meaning, for a fraction of a second, your neurons were processing multiple realities at once. Your brain was experiencing two timelines simultaneously. And here's the kicker. The moments when coherence spiked, they correlated with something the researchers didn't expect. Participants reported temporal disorientation, a feeling that time had just skipped or doubled back. They described it the same way Sarah did, like remembering something that hadn't happened yet. One participant said, "It felt like I was watching myself from 2 seconds in the future." Another said, "I looked at the clock and I swear it said 4:44, but I don't remember looking at it." Now, the researchers didn't publish this part. It was in the raw data. In the appendices, no one reads. But if you dig into the supplementary files, you'll find something chilling. 68% of participants who experienced temporal disorientation reported seeing repeating numbers in the 48 hours before testing. 68%! That's not random. So let me ask you this. What if the numbers aren't a message? What if they're a side effect? What if every time you see 1111, you're not being contacted by the universe? You're watching your own timeline split.
Look, I don't know if any of this is true. Maybe it's all just pattern recognition and pareidolia. Maybe we're so desperate for meaning that we've convinced ourselves the clock is speaking to us. But maybe, just maybe, we're picking up on something real. Think about it. Your consciousness isn't sitting in your skull like a passenger in a car. It's a process, a wave function collapsing billions of times per second, turning possibility into reality. And if quantum mechanics has taught us anything, it's that observation changes the outcome. You're not just watching your life, you're choosing it every single moment. And sometimes you catch a glimpse of the roads you didn't take. That's what 1111 is. Not a sign, not an angel number, not a cosmic nudge. It's an echo of the version of you that almost existed, the one who made a different choice 5 minutes ago, the one whose timeline just barely brushed against yours before veering away forever. And for just a second, one perfect frozen second, both versions of you existed at once. You felt it, you saw the number, and then the moment passed and you forgot why it mattered. But somewhere, deep in your mind, you knew. You've always known, because you're not just one person living one life. You're 1,000 versions of yourself collapsing into now, over and over and over again. And every time you see those numbers, that's the moment you remember.
If this made you feel something you can't explain, you're not alone. Subscribe Nexus Shift. There's more coming.